Were you talking about RFK Jr. being the what it like? Is that like people thought it was good?
Let's get
now
to the video.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's get to the video. We'll get your opinions before you exit stage left. And fam, do you want to set this up in any way, shape, or form? I think your tweet went viral. You had 1 million+ watching or viewing it, but I think we should just play it and then jump right into it.
Let's just play the video. Yeah.
Let's play it full screen, cheese slice, and then we'll go from there.
Oh yeah.
And Israel is critical, and the reason it's critical is because
Volume up.
Work for us in the Mideast. It's almost like having an aircraft carrier in the Mideast. It's our oldest ally. It's been our ally for 75 years. And Israel is critical. And the reason it's critical is because it's a bulwark for us in the Mideast. It's almost like having an aircraft carrier in the Mideast. It's our oldest ally. It's been our ally for 75 years. It has been an incredible ally for us in terms of the technology, the exchange. And, in building the Iron Dome, which we paid a lot for, has also taught us enormously about how to defend ourselves at home from missiles. So those military expenditures are all going, 75% of it goes to U.S. companies under the agreement, under the MOU. But if you look at what's happening in the Mideast now, Iran is now the closest allies to Iran are Russia and China. Iran also controls all of Venezuela's oil. Hezbollah is in Venezuela. They have propped up the Maduro regime, and so they control that oil supply. BRICS, Saudi Arabia is now joining BRICS. So those countries will control 90% of the oil in the world. If Israel disappears, the vacuum in the Mideast, which is, Israel is our ambassador, it's our presence, our beachhead in the Mideast, and it gives us ears and eyes in the Mideast. It gives us intelligence. It gives us the capacity to influence affairs in the Mideast. If Israel disappeared, Russia and China would be controlling the Mideast, and they control 90% of the world's oil supply, and that would be cataclysmic for U.S. national security. So that's the answer to you.
So, main takeaway, that means we overlook anything bad Israel does because we need them for what we just described. I mean, that's what that means, right? I mean, they explain the strategic and political interests of why this partnership exists. Okay, well, so what you're saying is that's the important thing. It's sort of like when Trump was talking about Saudi Arabia, whatever, with the oil, they let you see that we ignore that they're an open authoritarian dictatorship because we need their oil. It's just so that's why I think that's been framed as him saying the quiet part out loud, right? It's just that's embarrassing.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a better, more honest summation of what the United States does and why Israel is such an important asset to the United States. Thank you, RFK Jr., for really saying what a lot of us have been saying for a very long time and been told that, we're being ridiculous or we're crazy, alt-right or alt-left or whatever, fringe, whatever, because this is exactly why Israel has the importance. This is why Israel gets billions of dollars every year. This is why Israel has such a great democracy, why they have such great healthcare, why the American people, are losing such normalcy in their lives in terms of, the economy, in terms of the jobs, in terms of housing, in terms of just like the chaos that ensues our domestic policy. But Israel gets all the attention in the same way, of course, that we want to make Ukraine, in the same way we've attempted to use Taiwan. It's the same thing. But Israel, I believe, is at another level because Israel has said from the beginning that they want to expand into Syria, into Lebanon. They want to expand into the Middle East. And what better way for the United States interests to expand into these regions without them having to lose, troops, to lose as much money and actually invest in a full-on war than using Israel as a proxy. So what we're seeing here is a replaying of the same type of strategy that the U.S. State Department does. But Kennedy, I'm sorry, but I mean, this is exactly why Israel-Palestine wasn't just one conflict. When people were defending RFK, this was going to spew into his rhetoric on Iran. He talked about Venezuela, the Maduro regime. He uses these same very imperialist neocon talking points that have been used by the likes of George W. Bush, Barack Obama, McCain. I mean, I could go on and on. What is different? He's supposed to be the anti-war candidate, and here he is telling us exactly why we need to support Israel.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Let me address something really quickly, Ryan, because I know you pasta eat crow, LOL. And Don made the point about he's getting out before he gets, pie in the eye or whatnot, and the only thing that would be complete right now if Steve was in here going, I told you so, boss, that would just be mud in the face. But listen, I talked about this yesterday and on Jimmy's show, and I've talked about this before. For some of us who feel differently than Fiorella, as far as participating in electoral politics, and some of us are still going to participate in it for whatever reasons, I still think we were right at the time with the information we had. Because this is, like you said, now he's saying
Scott Adams.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Thanks, bastard. But here's what I'm saying.
That was good.
When people had said, Papasta, you were the one who went and asked him this, and you exposed him this. So you feeling the way you feel, why would you take that position? Because had he taken the position after October 7th, where he can say, look, I feel Israel has a right to exist. They feel a right to defend themselves, but we must have calmer heads. We should call for a ceasefire immediately. We shouldn't have the bombing of civilians right now, and not said all this crap right here, which is the first time he said any of this stuff, because he had been talking about, we have to take on China in an economical way, right? Like, which to me says we're no longer going to saber rattle with them. And he had mentioned they have one base in Djibouti while we have 800 bases. So, and I'm not providing cover for my wrong decision over here right now, because people are saying, well, Pasta, why can't, there's people still reaching out to me that are still on the RFK bandwagon going, why can't you do it? I'm like, because, Fiorella was right in one way. You can't be the peace candidate if you are going to be pro-Israel, if you are going to condone what they want, because this thing can spin right out of control into World War III. You were the candidate who came to us and said, Ukraine and Russia can sprint into World War III. We can't do that. But this situation could do the same, especially with the relationship that Israel has with Iran, especially with the way that the United States is seeming to use this excuse, this crisis, as to get into a war with Iran. This could spin into World War III. So you can't be the peace candidate when you take that point of view. Also, too, as well, when you're going to be the anti-censorship candidate, when you're going to be the freedom of speech candidate, and he also took his position on censoring students at universities, this whole thought process that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is an anti-Semitic term that wants to call for the wiping out of Israel and killing of their citizens is just ridiculous. There's an actual concentration camp in their country, ladies and gentlemen. They want to be free on what was Palestine before 1948. That's what it means. And it's ridiculous that people are saying that. So with Kennedy being not only the anti-peace candidate now, because he can't be for pro-peace with this position, he's also the censorship candidate now. He can't be against censorship with the position he's taken. That's why it's okay for me to go, Azalut, have a good time, bye-bye. And I do want to make one more simple point before I hand this over right now, too, as well, because I do have a give, send, go out there where I've collected money to go and cover RFK. I'm going to change the title and take away that once-in-a-lifetime candidate, because he's not a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. He's shown us his true colors. Yes, Fee, you were right. But I'm still going to cover him. And boy, you better believe, just like that question was a hard question, there's many more questions to come. RFK, sir, I will be seeing you. You will not be getting away from me. So don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I will still be covering his campaign. And boy, it's not going to be a cakewalk, my friends. Go ahead, Ryan. Thank you very much for putting that up, by the way, Jamie.
Yeah, in your defense, I mean, you didn't make a decision. You were supporting somebody insofar as the thought that, really, you and even while you were doing so, you asked him hard questions. I mean, that you should be praised for that, man. Whether just because your opinion about somebody could be incorrect, but even to that, even taking a step further, everyone knows my opinion on where he is and so far in Israel and so on. But overall, I would say for all it's at least it's possible that he's simply saying what people want to hear to get elected, and then he'll change. I don't believe that, but I know a lot of people think that. So all I'm pointing out is we still don't necessarily know for sure, but a nod to you in general for having, being able to say that. Now, I just think some people always want to give you like a gotcha moment. Like, you missed this and you did that. And, you just gotta, I have opinions about people. Like, look, here's a good joke. When I first saw Fauci, and I wasn't super immersed in his background before all of COVID-19. So I had never even seen him before. And this guy walks up and I'm like, I said I remember on the show, I said, oh, he seems like an honest guy. I forget what I said, something stupid, right? But I very, very immediately was like, okay, that's not true. He's, blah, blah, blah. I went and researched him. My point is that we all can have wrong opinions about somebody. It ultimately matters how you go forward from there. And, I think RFK Jr., in more and more to me, begins to seem like he's not the person that he's been presenting. But hey, guys, that's politics. That's literally everybody in politics. So we need to remember that. But I still just think that I think he was probably an attempt, if he does turn out to be exactly what he appears to be, or what we're talking about now, an attempt to pull in people into a, people that might have wanted a third party candidate kind of scenario. And I think they're afraid to bring that in actuality, But yeah, I mean, I think that overall, what's going on right now is exposing a lot of people. And I think that's really important. And I think more than any other conversation, I think there's a lot of people that sidled up next to the COVID truth movement, whatever you want to call that, because they saw momentum. They saw that and they just simply were like, what's this guy saying? I'll say the same thing. I think there's a lot of those people and they got a lot of momentum. And then all of a sudden this conversation comes out and they're just not only just, in my opinion, wrong on this topic, but doing things that completely contradict what was the core point of the things before. Free speech, for example. You can't pretend you're pro free speech, then go, oh, except if they say those things. It just shows you these people aren't real. And I take that as one of the few positives in all this horrible genocide that we're seeing, that we're sussing these people out. And it's important.
That is the biggest point, by the way. I think that's the hats off moment. Jimmy did a video on it, Snowflakes. We've been calling them out. I'm friends with Laura Loomer. I texted her personally directly. I'm like, Laura, how can you say this stuff? Viva Fry and Robert Barnes have been the most disappointing ones that hurt the most. Brett Weinstein, all these other people, freedom of speech, except for this here. It is definitely a mask off moment.
Rubin went on a tour exposing cancel culture. And now I'm seeing things where he's trying to get people removed from platforms because they're saying things about it. And just people, and look, I'm never going to say that means that any of these people are being exposed as the shills they really are. That's certainly I'm considering, right? But ultimately, it shows you that this topic, whether it's because of your religious ties or your political ties, people lose all objectivity around this topic. And it's striking. And I think what it's also showing you is, and this is one of the important parts that we really didn't get into too deep in this, is that the Zionist difference, right? Than Judaism, than Israel, like the Zionism manipulation of Jews, of Israelis is what we're really talking about. And further than that, that Zionist entity influence on other countries. You mentioned Epstein. This is the Mossad overlap. This was what this was. It's a sexual blackmail network in order to influence and manipulate governments, output their policy. That's what that was. And we all weirdly dispute that when act like put our nose up at it like it's a conspiracy story in other contexts. It's a real thing. And I think that what we're seeing is people like the Biden, the open, proud Zionist that he tells you he is, they're not only shooting themselves in the foot, they're shooting themselves in the chest right now with this story. They're losing everything to maintain the line that they're not breaking the law right now. How do you explain that? I think it's because of that kind of influence, And one last thing to Don's point, the Lehi Party, which was kind of spurred off from the Irgun Zionist origin party, tried to line up themselves with Nazi Germany twice. That's on the record. That's on Wikipedia, right? So the origins of Zionism were trying to line themselves up with the worst people in the world. So we shouldn't really dismiss that this might exactly be, that this entity would not shy away from carrying out these kind of acts or allowing them or doing what they're doing in Gaza right now.
And that's Ryan, it is the top of the hour. It is noon. It's noon. I know you probably got to jump out of here.
All right, I'll get out of here, Pasta. Don't be so rude.
No, you can stay as long as you like. Sam Tripoli should be matriculating in any moment now. Jimmy Dore in about 15 minutes. Like I said, eventually want to go over to my new channel and my new channel only so we can get as many people over there signed up, subscribe. We've already had an amazing day, almost 500 people on our YouTube channels, which is great for the monetization. We've had over 200 people on our Rumble channel, over 100 people on my brand new channel, first day, first video. Amazing. Thank you so much. But Ryan, can you let everybody know where they can find you, how they can be a part of the Last American Vagabond? And I think it was great today that you come on. It's been amazing working with you. I remember when I was following your videos before me and Fam even started our channel, right? And I was watching your videos on you just laying out what was going on in Israel, some of the bombing and the attacks. And your whole mentality of like, hey, man, don't believe me. Don't listen to me. Go see for yourself. Question everything, which is your motto or your logo or your theme statement, whatever you want to call it over there at the Last American Vagabond. But I think it's such a great way of opening the doors and questioning things. And, I think it really leads into what I've been promoting for quite some time and what Fam has been able to do too as well, is not participate in cancel culture and not demonize anybody out there and have conversations from different ideologies and people of different backgrounds and different religions, thoughts, and the whole 9 yards. But let's bring them in really quickly while you say goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Sam is here.
all the cool kids are here.
We were just saying goodbye to Ryan.
Ryan,
but I know you guys know each other. I think I've introduced a couple people today to Ryan that he can work with. Mark Sloboda and Don Dore would be awesome. I mean, I would watch those shows, and I think it would get thousands and thousands of views, even with the censorship, because Ryan Cristian is considered one of the most censored men on the internet out there for quite some time.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll let you guys have your great talk. Well, what's funny about that is as I've said before, I used to push back on like, well, I don't know, maybe there's more, but like, I think using metrics, it's not even debatable at this point. How many places I've been censored repeatedly, especially with pirate channels. So I wear that proudly. And I think that my work speaks for itself, and how you just take a look at it, you can clearly tell that we're not promoting conspiracy theory or whatever else they're trying to say. We're pointing out how the government's conspiring against you is what we're really doing in every possible way. But thank you guys. Congrats on the new channel. And it's good to see you both. And Sam, good to see you, man. Have a great conversation. And we'll talk soon, guys.
Where else can people find you? What's the easiest way to find you since you're being censored and all over the place? And
thelastamericanvagabond.com. Just, sign up there, subscribe so you can donate. And everything is that's the main hub. Don't let them be the conduit between you and our information. Go right to thelastamericanvagabond.com. Thanks, guys.
Ryan, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on this special day.